So yeah, don't worry guys, I'm back to my old chipper self and ready to take on more classic PS1 titles. I'm sure there won't be any more that'll drag me kicking and screaming to the brink of insanity. Right? Fuck's sake. Why do I do this to myself? Well, I've referenced them enough times, might as well finally take a look at them. But the truth is, I've kind of been putting off giving the old Crash games a go. Firstly because, I'm very much aware of how soul-crushingly difficult they are. But also, I just wasn't sure if there was enough there to get an interesting video out of. I mean, they are pretty simple games, all things considered, so I just didn't know if there would be that much to talk about. But they were part of my childhood and one of the main staples of the PS1 era. Hell, I mean, old Crash was pretty much the unofficial poster boy for PS1, so there really is no way I can get away with not covering them. So yeah, we're finally gonna take a look at Crash Bandicoot, but since I apparently just love torturing myself and pushing what's left of my sanity to its absolute breaking point, we're not just talking about one Crash game, we're looking at 3! That's right, this is the first in a trilogy of videos covering the first 3 titles in the Crash Bandicoot series. Oh Jesus. And well, no time like the present. So yeah, without any further delay, bring on the pain. Oh. So Crash Bandicoot was developed by Naughty Dog! Bad Dog! And published by Sony Computer Entertainment and Universal Interactive Studios in 1996. At this time, the series was a PlayStation exclusive and as such was only on PS1. So yeah, suck it Nintendo and Sega fans, Sony's got the good stuff. I'm just kidding, I love you guys too. Go Mario. Eh? So we get started and introduced to our titular protagonist, the genetically engineered Bandicoot created by mad scientist Dr. Neocortex, MD. Not that you'd know that if you immediately hit start game upon coming to the main menu. Yeah, in order to watch the opening cutscene that, you know, explains who you are and what you're doing, well, kind of at least, you actually have to wait at the start menu for like 30 seconds because, why? Why would you do that? I don't think I've seen that before. In most other games from the PS1 era, you wait a little while at the start menu and it just goes to a demo, so why would you expect this to be any different? I mean, I get that people would probably just want to get into the game as quick as possible and may not want to watch the intro every time they start it up, cause yeah, us gamers are well known for our patience, but why not just make it a skippable cutscene before the main menu? It's just weird. But don't worry, this is just the first of several peculiar design choices they made with this game, which we'll see soon enough. Oh yes, we will. But anyway, yeah, Dr. Cortex creates the genetically modified marsupial to be the leader of his army of mutant animals. But the experiment fails and Crash is like, screw you humans, I was born to run free, and escapes into the outside world. But the good doctor's plan's not foiled yet, cause turns out he's also got Crash's girlfriend and, oh my, yeah. I think we know why some people were so fond of this game back in the day. I don't want to know what's in some of you fuckers' private folders. Fun fact, did you know that female bandicoots have 2 vaginas? Yeah, the more you know, right? Crash Bandicoot? More like Crash Bandicoot. So anyway, this is pretty much just your standard 3D platformer. You're just going through these levels on your quest to rescue your lass and defeat Dr. Cortex, your only objective being to simply reach the end. You start off on Insanity Beach, fittingly named considering this is the point where the last vestiges of sanity come to die. You've only got a couple abilities. You can run and jump and do your Tasmanian devil spin attack to defeat enemies and shit. Cause yeah, apparently all creatures native to Australia have a spin attack to ward off predators, which is understandable. I mean, Australia can be a scary place. It's a dangerous world out there for a bandicoot. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, and you can also jump on enemies to kill them as well. And in addition to fucking up bad guys, you also have the crates that you can spin or jump on to break and contain various collectibles. You've got things like extra lives, and then there's the apples. Well, I always thought they were apples, but no, apparently they're actually called fucking Wumpa Fruit or some shit. And like with most other games of this type, every time you collect 100, you get another life. Cause remember kids, a Wumpa Fruit a day keeps the doctor away, and 100 a day gives you a whole new life. So yeah, don't skip on the fruit. And then you've got the iconic witch doctor mask thing, Aka Aka or whatever the fuck it's called. You'll find him in some of the crates, or just lying around in the open, and when you collect him, he becomes like your health or whatever. Cause yeah, it's another one of those where the single most microscopic fibre of your being just has to make contact with something dangerous for you to drop down dead, even if it doesn't fucking attack you. But yeah, if you get him, he takes the hit for you, and if you get another one without getting hit, then you can take 2 hits, and if you pick up 3, then you become a god among men, invincible for a short time, and now you can kill things by just touching them. Yeah, how'd you like that, motherfucker? The hunter's now the hunted, huh, bitch? But you can still die from falling into chasms, so watch out for that. Oh, and you've got to be careful with the spin, cause as well as killing bad guys and smashing crates, you can also end up spinning away the collectibles, including your extra lives and health. So yeah, there's something else you've got to watch out for. But that's not the only thing you need to be careful of, cause in addition to the normal crates, you've also got the TNT crates that'll explode if you hit them with your spin, and you can also arm them to explode by jumping on them. Along the way, you'll come across some short bonus levels that give you the chance to get some extra lives. To access them, you first got to find the 3 tokens hidden in crates throughout the main level. So yeah, these are good for getting some extra lives, but the annoying thing is, you only get one chance to do it, so if you fail, the only way to try again is to start the whole level from the beginning. And some of these bonus levels can be really difficult too, especially considering you've got to go back through the main level to try again, so it's harder to memorize them to figure out how to beat them. So anyway, most of the regular levels are played from either a 3D over the shoulder perspective or as a 2.5D side scroller where you're just going around on foot, but there are a couple other types. First you've got the boulder levels that I mentioned in the Tarzan video. Simple enough, you've just got to stay ahead of this giant pinball to avoid getting steamrolled. Although once again, it doesn't actually have to run you over to kill you, it just needs to make the barest amount of contact with you and then the game's like, yep, that's good enough for me. And it can also be annoying because it can be hard to judge just how far away the fucker is. Like it'll be gaining on you, but it'll look like it's still a little way back, but then all of a sudden it's just like, gotcha, bitch! And then you've got these kind of on rails levels where you're riding on a pig or something and you can't stop, so you've just got to time your movements right to avoid all the obstacles in your way. You do move pretty fast, so it can be difficult on your first try, but the obstacles and their positions don't change, so it's easy to just memorize what's where and get through that way. So yeah, not much more to say, but what's with the way Crash looks back at us before jumping on the poor thing? He's just got this really weird look on his face, like he's saying, "Oi mate, you wanna see something funny? I'm gonna fuck this pig." Yeah, that's the best fucking Aussie accent I can do. So like most of these games, it's split into several stages, or islands, as is the case here, and when you reach the end of an island, you get a boss fight. These guys are simple as. They're not quite as basic as the bosses in, say, Croc, but they're not far off. It's not hard to figure out how to beat them. You usually just have to avoid their attacks and then hit them when you see an opening. But just cause they're simple doesn't mean they're not fucking annoying as well. See, this first guy's not that bad. Like I said, you just have to avoid his attacks and jump on his fat arse a few times. But then you come to this crazy fucker. Fucking Blue's Clues' crack addicted brother over here. And this guy's annoying as fuck. Basically, to beat him, you've just got to jump on the TNT boxes to arm them so they go off when he's nearby. But the problem is, you've got to time it just right so the bombs go off when he's near them, otherwise it doesn't hurt him. And then you've got the daft fucker jumping around all over the place like he's gone off his fucking Ritalin again, and as always, he only has to touch you once to do you in, so then you're having to jump around all over the place to stay away from him. And of course, you've also got to avoid the explosions as well. And also, because of the way the camera's set up at this bit, it's harder to judge distances and angles, meaning you've got to be even more careful when you're jumping between these platforms to avoid ending up in the water. But even though they can be pretty annoying, the boss fights are also kind of underwhelming. They're similar to the bosses in Spyro in that I guess they're meant to be henchmen of the main villain, in this case other creatures created by Dr. Cortex, but the game doesn't really communicate that, so they don't feel like part of the story. They're just kind of there, so it's harder to feel invested in fighting them. So anyway, if you're like me, for the first, I don't know, third of the game maybe, you'll probably be like, I don't know what you're talking about, Davey, this really doesn't seem all that bad. And to be honest, you'd be forgiven for thinking that. I mean, yeah, it's a bit challenging, but no more than most other games I've played. Oh my sweet summer child, you have no idea. Yeah, it may not seem so bad yet, but that's just the game lulling you into a false sense of security, all while the sword of Damocles hangs above your head, just waiting to fall. And fall it will, sooner or later. Oh yes it will. About a third of the way through the game, in fact. Yeah, it was about that point for me when the game ripped off its mask and revealed itself for the evil, miserable cunt it really is. Oh yes it did. So what about this game so hard? Well, we've already seen how everything kills you in just one hit and how it only has to touch you to do so, and that's always been one of my biggest pet peeves with these sorts of games. It's like, yeah, I get it. If a giant mutated fucking little shop of horrors plant decides to take a bite out of me and I don't take it out in time, yeah, that's on me. I wasn't fast enough. I deserve my defeat. But if I just happen to nudge some fucking tortoise or whatever was just plodding by, minding its own business, and it has the same effect as a bullet between the eyes, yeah, bullshit. I hate that.
Just one touch. That's all it takes.
And it also means you've got to be careful when you're trying to spin some of these fuckers out of the way. You've got to have your finger on the button ready to go at the exact right moment, cause it's not hard to wait just that millisecond too long and touch that enemy a split second too early. And then you've got enemies that don't die from getting spinned, and instead you've got to jump on them, and if you do spin them, it'll either kill you or just send you spinning out of control, which usually ends with you getting thrown off the path and dying. And it's often not clear which enemies you can spin and which ones you have to jump on, just to make things even more annoying. But all this is nothing compared to the biggest reason why this game's so hard, and that's just how unforgiving it is when it comes to the platforming. Seriously, you need the skill and precision of a fucking Delta Force sniper to get through some of this shit. It's just so pedantic. Your jumping has to be on fucking point here, and the margin of error is practically non-existent. For every single jump, you've got to do it from the exact right spot at the exact right time. Too far back, you fall short. You wait too long and it's really easy to just run over the edge. Which is made worse by the fact that the fixed camera that's stuck behind you for all the over-the-shoulder levels makes it difficult to judge how close you are to drops, meaning you've got to be even more careful. And it's also hard to judge where you're gonna land as well. The high fucking road, anyone? So yeah, even though your natural instinct in these sorts of games is to move as fast as you can, you really need to take things slow and steady. But too bad you can't do that half the time because there's plenty bits where the game forces you to move fast. Moving platforms, hazards that you have to time your movements perfectly to avoid, enemies that automatically kill you even if you manage to jump on or spin them first. Yeah, they're pulling out all the stops with this shit. And some of these levels are long as fuck as well, for a platforming game at least. And while there are checkpoints, they're often few and far between, meaning that once you get one, it can be a while before you get to the next. And if you die before, then yeah, that's a lot of bullshit you've got to drag yourself back through. Oh yes, Native Fortress, Sunset Vista, Slippery Climb, you know what I'm talking about. Then there's the controls, and while they're not bad, actually they're pretty good for the time, but they can be a bit difficult to master. They've got a decent amount of weight without feeling overly heavy and clunky, and they're nice and responsive, but they do feel a little oversensitive. You've got to be careful when making small and precise movements, because it's really easy to move too far and then straight over an edge. And you can also control yourself while you're in the air to make sure you land in the right place. But again, you've got to be careful, because holding the button or stick for even a millisecond too long can make you miss your mark, and usually die as a result. So yeah, there's another reason why moving fast is often the fastest way to get yourself killed. And on top of that, you've got bits where the game just straight up trolls you. Like the times where they put hazards in your way, but the only way to know they're there is to get killed by them. Look at that! How in the fuck was I supposed to know that'd be there? You find me one person in the whole entire fucking world who didn't get killed by that shit on their first fucking try. I'll wait. And then they put shit like this in the first fucking level. Are you kidding me? The first level? I mean, granted, you don't have to do it, but still, they knew what they were doing, the fuckers. Yeah, this game used to drive me nuts as a kid. I actually remember, as I was going apeshit at getting killed by the same bits over and over again. Cause yeah, if you think I'm bad-tempered now, you should have seen me back then. But yeah, as I was going absolutely off it, I would actually imagine the developers watching and laughing at me. Like the whole game was just designed deliberately to troll anyone who plays it, which in turn would just make me even angrier. So yeah, every time I missed a jump or got blown up or something, in my mind I could just see the developers like... One saving grace, I guess, is that the game is pretty generous with extra lives. Not that it matters sometimes, cause some bits are so bad you can lose all your lives in one go. Seriously, some parts I went into with like 20 lives or something, and by the time I finally got past I was down to single digits. Jesus Christ. But yeah, thankfully it's not too hard to get them back. I've already mentioned how you get a new life for every 100 apples you collect. Then you've got the bonus levels that give at least 2 or 3, if you manage to get through them on your first fucking go, that is. And then usually at the end of some of the harder levels, the game will just give you a bunch, like it's trying to make up for all the bullshit it just put you through. It's like the developers are saying, yeah, we know we just bent you over and gave you a good hard reaming, but here's some free lives to make it all better. Wow, how fucking kind of you. But there's more! Remember what I was saying earlier about strange design choices? Oh, you haven't seen the half of it yet! You remember in my review of the Phantom Menace when I was tearing that piece of shit a new arsehole for not having any checkpoints, and I compared it to Crash, which does? Yeah, if at the time I'd remembered the absolute state of the save system, I probably would have chosen a different game for that comparison. So basically, there's 2 ways to save the game. You either have to complete one of the bonus sections, which again you only get one chance at, so if you fuck it up, sorry buddy, you don't get to save. Or you can make it through the level, smashing all the crates and without dying once. Yep, you heard that right. This fucking game expects you to find and smash all the crates in the level and do it all without dying a single fucking time. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. First of all, for some levels, you can't even do that shit on your first try, cause there's bits you can't access without shit that you don't find until later on. But even worse, you know how ball-crushingly difficult some of these levels get? And you actually expect me to make it through all that shit without dying once, just to save the fucking game? What insane fucking Ramsey of Bolton level sadist thought that was a good fucking idea? So yeah, if you make it through some of these hard-ass fucking levels but died a couple times along the way, or didn't break all the crates, or if you didn't make it through the bonus section, some of which are hard as fuck as well, then tough shit motherfucker, you don't get to save. Meaning that if you get game over later on, you've got to go back to the last level you managed to save at. So unlike in other games where if you get game over you only have to start the level you're on again, you can actually end up going back multiple fucking levels. Jesus motherfucker of Christ and all the fucking lords of Nazareth! What? Surely you can't be fucking serious!
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
And on top of that, I'd completely forgotten about this shit. 1, because it's been so long since I last played this fucking game, and 2, because I've played the remake trilogy since then, where it's been fixed so it's not fucked up anymore. So yeah, I beat the first couple levels without dying, but I didn't get all the crates, so I got the screen where poor Crash gets them all dropped on his head, destroying the last couple brain cells he's got left. But then as I started dying, the screen wouldn't show at the ends of the levels, but I didn't realise why. And then later on, as the game got even harder, I started getting kicked back multiple levels whenever I got game over, and I still didn't know why. Like, is it a glitch or something? I actually thought I'd downloaded a bad ROM, and it wasn't until I looked it up that I discovered the truth. But once again, I've got to ask, who the fuck at Naughty Dog thought this was a good idea? Yeah, hopefully that joker ended up in the fucking doghouse. But it must have been play tested as well. Seriously, did no one see it? Yeah, it's pretty good and all, but this save system's kinda fucked up. You really should look at changing that. It's like, yeah, the game's already challenging enough, but this just takes it into completely unreasonable territory. I mean, it's not like the game would have been much easier if they just let you save after every level, regardless of whether or not you died or got all the crates. And they obviously knew they fucked up because they changed it for the sequel. But enough about that, let's get into the presentation side. I do really like the graphics. The environments are well detailed for the time, and the art style's bright and colourful, and the lighting's atmospheric. The character models are a bit blocky and simplistic, but it's not that big a deal. The soundtrack's up there with Spyro as one of the all-time greats of the PS1 era, although I don't think it's quite as good. It's lively and upbeat and fits well with the gameplay and atmosphere, but I do think it's a bit thin and simplistic at times. My favourite tracks are from the jungle and lab levels. The voice acting, what little there is fine, I suppose. There's just a bit at the start between Cortex and Embryo, and yeah, it's fine for what it is. Although, again, since it's been so long since I last played this, it was a bit confusing and disappointing to watch the opening cutscene and not hear the voice of Clancy Brown coming out of Cortex's mouth. Yeah, I forgot that didn't happen until Crash 2. One criticism, I guess, is that the game is pretty light on story, like most of these games tend to be. And while I'm not saying it has to be fucking Lord of the Rings or anything, it would have been nice if we were given a bit more narrative. Like maybe at several points throughout the game we get a cutscene where we see what's going on with Cortex and Crash's lass, just to help us feel a little more invested in saving her, but it's not a huge issue. So anyway, eventually you'll make it to Dr. Cortex, and it's just another standard boss fight. You just knock the green energy things back at him while avoiding all the others, and yay, you won! And they all live happily ever after. But as is common for these types of games, the ending you get just for making it all the way through isn't the full ending, which in order to get, you need 100% the fucker. So how do we do that? Well, in addition to beating all the levels, you also have to get all the gems and keys. Okay, how do I get them? Well, remember what I was saying about smashing every crate in the level and then not dying to save the game? Well, that's not the only purpose. See, doing that is also how you get the gems. Most levels will just give you a white gem, but a couple also give you a coloured gem that you use to access certain parts of some of the earlier levels that were previously closed off. And to get the keys, you've got to beat both the Cortex bonus sections, again without fucking dying, both of which are some of the hardest in the whole game, and just look at the way some of these crates are set up, and they expect you to get all of them without getting killed? Jesus! But if you can manage all that, which pretty much amounts to beating the entire game without dying once, then yeah, you unlock the full ending. Well done. Good for you. I hope you're proud of yourself. And if you think I'm doing all that shit just for an extra fucking cutscene, haha, fuck right off. I'm a shite putting myself through all that shit just for some stupid little epilogue where Crash flies off with his dual badge wielding floozy, and the end credits again just with some daft shite talking about what happened to all the bosses and shit. Yeah, need fucking chance, mate. So that was Crash Bandicoot on PS1, and in conclusion, yeah, now I know why I put this off so fucking long. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but fuck me is it hard, and annoying, just like how I remember it. But in spite of the oftentimes insane difficulty level and absolutely foobar save system, the game is fun, when it's not making you want to tear out your own eyes and throw them into a fucking deep fryer. It is a bit limited, which is understandable, what with it being the first installment in the series. You've only got a couple abilities and don't unlock any more, and there's only a few types of level, but there's enough variation that the game never feels too samey. So yeah, overall, while it can definitely be frustrating and has some utterly arcane design choices, and it doesn't really do anything original or innovative, it is an enjoyable game that holds up pretty well and deserves its place of high regard in gaming history. It's a game we all love to hate, just like how we love torturing ourselves in fucking Dark Souls and Elden Ring, but no matter how much they hurt us, we still come crawling back for more, and if that's not love, I don't know what is. Jesus Christ, these games are gonna be the fucking death of me. It's a good job I'm not a sim, you know, from The Sims 4. One, because that game's a soulless, money-grubbing piece of shit, but also cause I probably wouldn't be alive right now, cause if I was in that game, I probably would have dropped down dead from rage a long fucking time ago from playing shit like this. I'm honestly surprised I haven't given myself a heart attack. My blood pressure must be through the fucking roof. But anyway, that's one game down, only 2 more to go. Oh joy. But thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like. If you didn't, then tell me to go fuck myself. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you like my content and have yet to subscribe, I would be extremely grateful if you would do so. And as always, thank you so much to everyone who already has. And before I go, I have one more thing to ask. I already put a thing on the community tab, but I thought I'd mention it here in case you missed it. So we're currently approaching 500 subscribers. When we get there, I thought I'd mark the occasion by doing a Q&A video special. So if there's anything you want to know about the daft fucker behind the oversized Pikachu hoodie, please submit your questions, sensible questions below. And if there are enough by the time we get to 500 subs, I'll answer them in a video. So yeah, thanks again for watching and I'll see you in the next one.